So there are many things to talk about this week's episode of WandaVision. I identify the fonts that they used on the credits in the intro as the Malcolm in the Middle font. I don't know the format of the kids grabbing the camera and filming, like the whole family. I don't know what series they got that, but the whole tone of the episode feels very much like Malcolm in the Middle. So it's a really nice point there. Also, we see that Speed and Wiccan, which are Wanda's kids, finally are showing their powers. Also, I think it's a really nice touch how they integrated everyone's classic costumes in the episodes, just as WandaVision, Quicksilver, and Speed and Wiccan. It was funny to see them, wear like some store-bought costumes. It's reminded very much of in the Luke Cage series on Netflix, when Luke Cage gets for 12 seconds, I think, his classical attire with that metal headband. So, is Vision dead? Because there was speculation that maybe it's Wanda that is reanimating the dead body of Vision. But now that we see that he's trying to escape from the hex, from that little prison, he's starting to disintegrate, or the flesh, or I don't think you can call it flesh, but the skin that Vision has is starting to, like, he wanted to go back to the hex. It's weird, like maybe she's using the skeleton or the corpse as Vision as a base, or maybe she modified it with her powers, but he can only live inside of Westview. I think jury is still out. I don't truly know, or I don't think that it's totally Vision corpse. I think maybe she used some parts, but I don't think that she's puppeteering the corpse, like there are so many theories talking about that. So the next one we have to talk about is Pietro. Since episode 5's ending, we are starting to wonder why is Ivan Peters' Pietro here instead of Aaron Taylor Johnson Pietro. Ivan Peters' Pietro is the X-Men Pietro, the X-Men film universe from Fox. So based on what we just saw on WandaVision, I think I have several theories. The first theory that I saw in WandaVision about who is this Pietro is maybe this body of Pietro is another resident of Westview or Eastview, but Wanda is controlling his mind, or somehow called his dead brother's mind into him. That's why Wanda cannot fully reanimate the dead. I mean, Vision, maybe she can do it in a degree, but it's because he's not human. But if we're talking about human beings, maybe she cannot do that, and thus she's borrowing this body of another person and giving him Pietro's power and memories. Also, even though this Pietro seems that he doesn't have the same memories as Wanda has about their childhood, which is another factor you have to weigh in, because it doesn't make sense. Like it's MCU Pietro, but he's also an outsider. There is another theory I have that is this Pietro is an illusion from someone else. Maybe someone that is pulling the strings behind the curtains in all of this event is making Wanda see Pietro. Like it's on her mind and on her children and Vision mind, but it's just an illusion. And this is a theory that I think could be valid, because this Pietro seems to be very interested in how Wanda made the the hex thing, and it's like he want to get information. So maybe this Pietro is working or is an illusion from someone else that wants Wanda's power. Could be Mephisto, could be Agatha Harkness, like many people are talking about. But it's weird that this Pietro is like an imposter trying to be like Wanda, like the original MCU Pietro. The next theory that I have is this is a fusion or a mix between Ivan Peters' Pietro and Aaron Taylor Johnson's Pietro. Maybe it's Ivan Peters' body, but it has some remnants of Aaron Taylor. Could be because he seems to remember when he died, and that's something that that's the thing that throw a wrench into my brain, because how is this Pietro know how he dies? That says I just was shot, and we know that Pietro was shot in Age of Ultron. And the last theory is one that I don't think is real, but is kind of like the theory of Vision's corpse. That is, this is Pietro's corpse, and the reason of that is because we had another kind of jump scare in which Wanda is talking to him. She looks to one side and then looks at him, and we see him like with the bullets on his chest, like we saw on Age of Ultron, and with his face pale, like like a corpse, similar to what we saw on Vision on the third episode, I think. So this could mean one, that maybe it's like Vision is Pietro's corpse that is being reanimated to life, which I don't think that's the case. It's because it's too dark for Disney to do that. Just like she watched Vision corpse and and then she watched Pietro's corpse. Maybe it's just like a bad memory that she remember of their tragedy of her life, like the commercials. And so yeah, I don't think that. Of course, we also have the theory that this is X-Men Pietro, but in order for that to be valid, we have to assume that Wanda or someone brought in Pietro from the X-Men and then brainwash him, or is putting things inside his head in order to extract information from Wanda, because he seems very eager on do that, and also to put the obvious or the more public access memories of Pietro inside his mind, like the fact that how he died. But he didn't know about their childhood, so maybe that's it. Maybe he eats the Evan Peters Pietro from the X-Men, but is being manipulated by someone else. So they brought in from another reality, and of course that can open the theory of the multiverse. I also wanted to talk about Agnes, because there was this theory on the internet that Agnes was evil, and personally I didn't think that was the case in a way. I think Agnes is going to become evil, or is going to have a reason to become the villain that we saw that we see in the comics as Agatha Harkness. But I don't think that she's manipulating Wanda, just as we saw the interaction between Agnes and Vision, which Vision mind sapped her and she started to wake up, and we see that she was in distress. Of course, this all could be a ploy from Agatha or Agnes to fool us in believing that she is good, maybe. But I think that Agnes is not evil. I spoke a little bit about the commercial that we saw here, that it was Yo Magic, that it was this, it reminded me of the Chips Ahoy claymation commercial that they want to eat the cookie in that birthday party. So honestly, this commercial it just flew out of my head a little bit, because I think that is Wanda trying to discover magic with her power. I don't know. I think seems very generic, like just reminding Wanda that she has the power, or maybe it's just a way to telling us that no, the Wanda's powers are actually magic related, as we know in the comics. Maybe this is a time with Doctor Strange. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the hell that commercial means. Also, some minor details. We know now that Hayward wants to recover Vision's body or corpse. Maybe because it's property of the country, of the government. Maybe as a favor to the Avengers. Maybe there is some information in Vision. I don't know. But now we kind of know what is his motivation, because as we see, Darcy uncovers something, so maybe it's related to the Vision Corps. I'm betting that he wants to make an army of Visions or something like that. Also, we see that Monica going into the Hex made some ramifications on her blood, like she's suffering some changes. Maybe she finally is going to become a superhero, which is Photon. Something that I don't remember is that Darcy said that Monica went twice into the Hex, but I don't remember that. Or she's referring that that Monica went too close to the Hex, which is weird because there are a lot of other soldiers that did the same thing. So I don't know why Darcy said that Monica went twice onto the Hex. And finally, we see some really messed up consequences that are happening to the resident of Eastview. We see that in the area which is closer to Wanda, people are acting more naturally, but on the boundaries of that area, like, they are pretty much like statues. And also we see some children there that are frozen, and this is something that Pietro also said to her, that where did she get all these children? Children referring is because Vision, remember that Vision said in the previous episode that there were no children in Westview, so Wanda is like, I'm going to finally use the kids that were in the town, so he be less suspicious. But still, is really a really messed up concept if you really think about it, and these episodes they show us that. So those were my comments about the 6th episode of WandaVision. I'm also waiting to see what happened to Pietro. As we see, he behaved like a dick in the final moments in his appearance. So maybe we'll have finally some answers to these questions. So, see ya.